Shalom family. So today we're going to talk about our next Bible character. And I've picked this one. This was mentioned by you guys as one of your choices. But I picked it because I've been meaning to talk about this for quite some time. And just show you my excitement around this. Now in the Bible, when you study the Bible and you learn and so forth, you learn about Theophanes or Christophanies. Now what that is, if you haven't heard that before, is God in physical form walking around through the Old Testament, appearing in various places. And there are various examples of this throughout the Old Testament that we'll dig into over time. But one of those would be the case of Melchizedek. Now, Melchizedek, some confused people, and I got in trouble for this at Bible school many years ago. I got very animated against my lecturer saying, no, it was just a man we don't know much about. And I pretty much hammered him in front of the whole class with all of the facts I'm going to give you now, coming to an inevitable conclusion that you cannot miss if you're reading the Bible correctly. But people still don't want to accept it because they don't want to believe that God physically pitched up on the planet before Jesus Christ in the New Testament. But God is very intimately involved with his creation. I mean, we have God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. You could hear his footsteps. And they went and hid from him. So you have so many examples of this throughout the Bible where God's interacting with those he loves. So Melchizedek's name means King of Righteousness. And he was a king of Salem. Makes you think of Jerusalem. And priest of the Most High God. Genesis 14 verse 18 to 20. Psalm 110 verse 4, Hebrews 5 verse 6 to 11, and 6 to 20 to 7:28. These are all references to this character, Melchizedek. It comes from breaking down the Hebrew word in his name, Melchi, king of, Tzedek, Tzaddik, righteousness, the righteous. He was the king of righteousness. Now, who is the king of righteousness? Jesus Christ. Who's the king of peace? The prince of peace, the king of peace? Jesus Christ, the Most High God. So, Melchizedek's sudden appearance and disappearance in the book of Genesis is extremely mysterious. It makes no logical sense. He appears on the scene with the name, sets up this character and this priesthood, and disappears. Melchizedek and Abraham first met after Abraham's defeat of Chedorlaomer and his three allies. He's gone up and he's conquered those four kings, and he's coming back from that battle. Melchizedek presents him with, I mean, come on, this is so obvious and in your face, brings bread and wine. This is my body, this is my blood. He brings bread and wine to Abraham and his weary men, demonstrating friendship. He bestows a blessing on Abraham. Abraham, supposedly the representative of God at this time, but he brings a blessing on Abraham in the name of El Elyon, God Most High, and praises God for giving Abraham a victory in battle. Genesis 14, 18 to 20. Bread and wine, and he pronounces a blessing on Abraham in the name of El Elyon, God Most High. Abraham, in his turn, and again, this is there to show you who Melchizedek is, presents Melchizedek with a tithe, a tenth of all the items he had gathered in this conflict. And by this act, Abraham indicates that he recognizes Melchizedek as a priest who ranks higher spiritually than he, Abraham, ranks. And in Abraham's seed, which is still in his body, the Levitical tribe of Levi is bringing a tithe to the priesthood of Melchizedek, which is a higher, better higher ranked priesthood than they themselves will be. You need to see that as well. Now in Psalm 110, a messianic psalm written by David, please go read it, and Matthew 22:43 referencing, Melchizedek is presented as a type of Christ because he was Christ. This theme is repeated in the book of Hebrews, where both Melchizedek and Christ are considered kings of righteousness and kings of peace. By citing Melchizedek and his unique priesthood as a type, the writer shows you that Christ's new priesthood is superior to the old Levitical order and the priesthood of Aaron. Hebrews 7 verse 1 to 10. He's showing you it is above and way better than a priesthood of man is in any way possible to be. Hebrews 6:20 says Jesus has become a high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Not the order of the Levites, which is where all the priests come from, but the order of Melchizedek, the better, perfect priesthood. This term order indicates a succession of priests holding the office, though none of them are ever mentioned. There is a long interval from Melchizedek to Christ, an anomaly that can only be solved by assuming that Melchizedek and Christ are the same person. He came and created a priesthood run by God, perfect in righteousness and in every way. And he is a priesthood after his own created priesthood, because man's priesthood is not worthy of our high priest. The order is eternally vested in him and him alone. Hebrews 7 verse 3 says, Melchizedek, and this was the giveaway that got me in trouble when I was going at it with my lecturer at Bible school. Without father or mother. Show me a human being without father or mother, right? Except for Adam. Without father or mother. Without genealogy, either before or after. Without beginning of days or end of life. Resembling the Son of God. He remains a priest forever. It was Jesus. No mere earthly king can remain a priest forever. No mere human is without father or mother. If Genesis 14 describes a theophany, then God the Son came to give Abraham his blessing in Genesis 14, appearing as the King of righteousness, Revelation 19, 11 and 16, the King of peace, Isaiah 9 verse 6, and the mediator between God and man. Melchizedek had different qualifications from those who were priests according to the tribe of Levi. Melchizedek, king of Salem, peace, and the Jerusalem connection, which means he's the king of peace. Jesus, king of peace. Melchizedek is the king of righteousness. Jesus is the king of righteousness. Abraham tithed to Melchizedek. Melchizedek had no father or mother. He had no beginning and no end. He was made like the Son of God. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the Alpha and the Omega, remaining a priest continually because Christ was that priest. You see how beautifully obvious this visitation is of Jesus in the Old Testament. These descriptions give us a clear understanding of who Melchizedek really is in relation to Jesus' role as our great high priest in the New Testament. Who do we know from the Bible who can be called King of Peace and King of Righteousness with no beginning and no end? Jesus. There's no one else who can bear these titles. Does that mean that Melchizedek in the Old Testament was Jesus? Duh. Obviously, it appears to be exactly what Paul is saying in the book of Hebrews. It's apparent from what Paul wrote that he believed Jesus and Melchizedek were the same person. Every Old Testament priest had to come from the tribe of Levi to this day. So why is Jesus coming from a new order of Melchizedek? Why did he come from the tribe of Judah and not Levi if he's our high priest forever? Because he came and established a perfect priesthood, untainted by mankind. And he is a priest after the order of Melchizedek, the King of righteousness. He is God, and he created the perfect priesthood for him who would be our high priest forever. Him who is no days, no beginning, no end, the Aleph and the Tav, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, the great Lion of the tribe of Judah, who has been walking this earth at various times all through history, being actively involved in his creation and the people that he loves, right to the end, even now watching over us and having God with us in every moment, right to the end. And lo, I am with you, even unto the end of the age. So I hope that was as obvious to you as it was to me so many years ago and still is today, how glorious it is how Jesus set this all up in the Old Testament. And if you'd like, I'll touch on the other Theophanes, Christophanies in the Old Testament at another time in a different video and show you everywhere with proof, scriptural proof, that God was stepping into creation in various places and so many times, quoted in the New Testament, proving it in the Old Testament. God bless. Spend time in the Word. It is exciting. It is incredible. It is never dull. And it feeds your body and your soul and draws you closer to Christ every day. Shalom.